Hi everyone, ignore the background here. I'm editing, and if you don't know, that this video was originally longer and I split it into two parts. So part one, where I talk about some like movie TV announcements and a TV show I'm watching and just video updates from me. That's in the first part, and then this second part is me talking about a couple of books I've read so far this year and a couple of movies. Particularly, they are the adaptations of said books. So, this is my intro since I just go straight into the books. And I guess that's it. I will have the first part in the card and in the description in case you missed it. So, cut to part. Then I thought I would just briefly mention some books that I read recently and the film adaptations that I watched in terms of these books. So I read The Crucible, which is a play by Arthur Miller. This was so good. Oh my god, guys. 5 out of 5 stars. What the heck? I was gripped. I was so immersed in this. It's so good. I mean, obviously, I just wanted to briefly talk about things here, and I'm so bad at doing that. I think this is just so interesting. And I hate using that word. I say it every time. But just the way that the sort of power shifts and the way each character is thinking about what they should do, and I guess I should just describe what the Crucible plot is like if you don't know, which it went a little differently than I thought, because for some reason I was thinking that Abigail, even though I knew that she wanted John Proctor's wife dead, for some reason I was thinking Abigail was accused of being a witch and then died. No, that's not what happened. I was correct with what I had said before in my Kino haul video where I talked about getting the movie. I'll kind of be talking about both at the same time because this was a very faithful adaptation. I do think it could have been better with a different director. Winona Ryder, I love her. She and Daniel Day-Lewis were acting their asses off. There was a lot of yelling though, and I saw that a lot with Letterboxd reviews were everyone's yelling. Yelling is not acting, but they were very good. Oh my god, there's so much. There are some things that I think the movie did not have that were kind of crucial to the way that certain characters are depicted and with the way that things go, essentially. Although I do think it's interesting that Arthur Miller actually wrote the screenplay for this. So I wonder what I think he also, yes, he does the audio commentary with director Nicholas Hytner. I mixed up the T and the N last time I said his name. I said Hinter, I'm pretty sure, but it's Hytner. And writer Arthur Miller. They do the audio commentary, which I have not listened to, so I'm wondering if he will touch on certain things that he emphasized and took out. The Crucible, Salem, Massachusetts, 1692. Oh wait, by the way, while I'm saying that now, I do think one of the things that also kind of this suffered from in a way is it did not give us a sense of place as much as it should have. I think it really needed to hone in on how Salem was the quintessential, what's the word? I don't know, just the perfect place for something like this to happen. Of course, it's based on true events to some extent, and a lot of the characters' names are based on real people. I know that Arthur Miller did a lot of research. I'm not sure what is really available to know about these people from such a long time ago. Salem itself was a village that was even more radically religious compared to other villages in America at the time. And you're talking about people who left their home country, who left England to, and probably other parts of the UK as well, but who left for religious freedom. And Salem is an extreme version of that. So of course, the hysteria that happens in this and the fear of persecution is is heightened in Salem, and how it was the perfect breeding ground. That's the way I kept phrasing it. The perfect breeding ground for the hysteria. Ultimately the Salem witch trials, and how that also just spread throughout that area of the country to some extent. So this does have to do with the Salem witch trials and how they began. In a way, it's very made up. The characters of like Abigail Williams, in real life she was like 11 and never knew John Proctor. In the play she's like 17, I'm pretty sure, and John Proctor is like, I think like sort of in his 30s, I'm assuming. I could be a little off on that. They have an affair, and John Proctor in real life was like 60-ish years old, and they had never met in real life until the trials. Yes, Abigail Williams was the first person to accuse people of witchcraft. What do you guys think of the Salem witch trials and such? I've heard that theory of like some sort of fungus like causing something to happen in their brain. Oh man, I watched a video like a long time ago on that. Anyway, but also like Salem was, again, perfect breeding ground. That is what I'm going with. Ultimately, I mean, if there was just some sort of fungus growing in their brains, the setting and the mindset of the town itself has to play a part, no matter what other outside factors there may have been. So anyway, in this play, it starts where Abigail's cousin, Betty, is basically not responding, and before the play starts, Betty's father, the Reverend Paris, found Abigail and Betty and other girls in town in the forest dancing. Ludicrous, right? Dancing, but also maybe chanting, maybe also in the nude, or at least a couple of them, with Tituba, who is I think the Paris's slave from Barbados, and she was saying something in the language they speak in Barbados. Now Reverend Paris is really paranoid about witchcraft, and especially because he knows that certain townspeople don't like him. He's very, very concerned about status, and that is something that is prevalent throughout the play and a trait of many of the characters. They're very concerned with the way that they are perceived by the other townspeople, by people outside the town. And so Reverend Paris brings in another Reverend Hale from out of town, who has dealt with witchcraft, because obviously Reverend Paris is concerned that witchcraft is happening in his town and that the devil has invaded in some way. I thought Reverend Hale was like a really interesting character, because I thought that he was going to be this really righteous, headstrong, power-hungry sort of character, and instead he actually ends up being a lot more empathetic and questioning what he's doing and not wanting to persecute the innocent. And because Abigail doesn't want to be found out, especially because she actually did things towards trying to cast a spell to make John Proctor's wife, Elizabeth Proctor, die. She wants her dead. She wants to replace her. She doesn't want to be found out, and she does not want her reputation to be tarnished either, because she is in love with John Proctor, who is an older man who is married to Elizabeth, and John Proctor sort of seduced Abigail. That's the wording I'm using. And Abigail thinks that she is in love and that he loves him back, and I'm sorry, that he loves her back, and that especially because Elizabeth has been sick, that maybe she will die, and then Abigail can be the new Mrs. Proctor. But of course, it's also a time where if their affair gets out, it will basically completely tarnish her reputation. She's less likely to be able to find a husband and be in a respectable family in the way that she kind of is now. There's literally like so much, but this is something that bothered me about the movie, and since I'm like going into it, I liked the movie. I just think like I was on a roller coaster ride with the book, so the movie was like what I kind of expected it to be. I saw on Letterboxd though people talking about how like, I don't know, like Abigail's like totally framed as the villain for some people, and I just don't see that, especially because John Proctor is an older married man, and Abigail is a teenager, but John Proctor has sex with a 17-year-old who is an orphan and lives with her cousins and has never gotten that much attention in her life. Of course she's gonna think certain things, and like there's certain parts of the play that were not in the movie where Elizabeth is trying to explain to John that like she's reading into this a lot more than he even realizes, like the damage that he's done. In a way, he thinks that she can get over it when she's like a teenager who has this huge crush that has in a way been fulfilled because they've had sex. And I don't know, I feel like John Proctor is not like, he's a villain and he's like a martyr in this, of course, I see that, but to completely paint Abigail as like this villain, I don't like, especially the certain comments that are like, she did all of this for John Proctor, or for lots of people were just reducing it down to like, she did all this for some D, and it's just like, I hate diminishing everything that is like within the play, within the story and the characters to that. It really bothered me, and so here I am. I think I explained it a little bit more in my Letterboxd review, maybe not, but there's so much to this. There's so much. I feel like that's where I should stop though, even though I literally just repeated things that are in my Letterboxd review. But I didn't want this to be very long. It's very good though. I mean, it's one of the most well-known American plays there is, and I'm just getting around to reading it, and it was fantastic. So, kind of, honestly, high hopes for other Arthur Miller plays. I've read Death of a Salesman, and I liked it. I didn't love it, so we'll see where it goes. I just actually today saw that After the Fall is back in stock, and that he wrote, have to go in kind of weary, but, that he wrote based on his marriage to Marilyn Monroe. So, that should be interesting. Because, don't like him for the way he treated Marilyn Monroe. Oh my god, finally, I also read Sir Gawain and the Green Knight by Anonymous. We don't know who it was by. This poem, also so good, you guys. What the heck? I gave it like a 4.5, because I did feel like it was like a little long. It's so good. I love the alliteration. Oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever read an epic poem before, or like a longer poem of this caliber. And the information in this, I have this one, it's like the Penguin Classics edition with an introduction and translated by Brian Stone, because I've said this before, 2020 I listened to, basically it was like a recording of a course, except she recorded it in like an recording booth. Dorsey Armstrong teaches a King Arthur history and legend course at a university that I cannot think of off the top of my head. She teaches this course, and it's available under like the Great Courses audiobooks. And so I listened to that in 2020. It was very good, and I am using some of her like recommendations for why did I say recommendations like that? I'm using her recommendations for like translations and certain editions of things to get and read pertaining to King Arthur and Arthurian literature. So yeah, this was really good, and I like all the extra information that it has in it. It is about Sir Gawain, who, okay, I'm gonna say things that are very much to point out differences between this poem, the original poem, and the Green Knight film. So in here, in the poem, Gawain is already a knight, and it's like Christmas. Yeah, it's Christmas, and a Green Knight arrives at the Round Table, and they're celebrating Christmas, and he isn't threatening because of his attire, but he challenges someone in this renowned kingdom to take a swing at him, basically. King Arthur first, of course, volunteers, and then Sir Gawain's no, I got this, sir. I've got this, sir. So Sir Gawain is allowed to take a swing at the Green Knight, and he will not do anything. He will just let him do this, but in a year's time, he will return the... I can't think of any other word but swing. It's definitely not going to be as easy to find in this. But he will return the blow to Sir Gawain a year later. And so Sir Gawain chops off the knight's head. And then the knight gets up and leaves and says, 1 year, Sir Gawain, you better keep your promise. This is your quest. He has to go to the Green Chapel where the Green Knight will be waiting. And so then, a year later, Sir Gawain goes on this journey to find the Green Chapel where the Green Knight will be waiting and return the blow. And on his way there, he stops at a castle that he finds. He's kind of lost. And he stops at a castle where there is a king and a queen. They're like, oh, the Green Chapel isn't that far from here. It'll only take you a day. Why don't you stay here for the Christmas festivities and you'll still make it in time to be where you need to be for the Green Knight to return his blow. So, I don't like the way that sounds. Sorry. Okay, so Sir Gawain stays. And the king proposes that when he goes and hunts, he will give Sir Gawain whatever game that he retrieves, whatever trophy is won, he will give Sir Gawain at the end of the night. And Sir Gawain must return whatever gifts that he has been brought throughout the day. And so that happens every night. The first day, the king, I think it's like a deer. What is it? A deer, then a boar, and then a fox is what he hunts and gives Gawain. And each morning, I'm literally just telling you the whole story. Like, no suspense at all. I'm just telling you everything. And each morning, Sir Gawain is visited by the queen, who is kind of trying to, she is trying to seduce him. And gives him a kiss every morning, and then because that is a gift that he has received, he returns the kiss to the king. And oh my god, my mind, when I heard The Green Knight was being a film, when I first saw that, like, the trailers were going to come out soon, I saw, like, the posters, I was like, they're making an adaptation of The Green Knight, of Sir Gawain in The Green Knight, and he has to return the kisses to the king. I don't know, it just got me, like, kind of excited to see, like, what would go down with that, especially the seduction scenes, and then obviously, how was he going to give the king these kisses discreetly and such? And of course, there is this kind of tension. I mean, it doesn't happen, I'll tell you right now, but there is this kind of tension where it's like, but if the queen and Gawain end up sleeping together, he has to return that gift to the king. But it doesn't happen because so much of this is about Gawain being tested, how true he is, how virtuous he is, how honorable he is. That's what it is about. There's some other details that I'm leaving out. I'll leave that, just so I don't tell you the entire story. And this, The Green Knight, okay, obviously I just told you, great. I'm having a great reading year so far because The Crucible I loved, and The Green Knight, Sir Gawain in The Green Knight I loved. And also they were pronouncing it the way that I pronounce it, which I feel like a lot of people say Gawain, but Dorsey Armstrong in the audiobook, see, the audiobook helped, the course helped, because she said Sir Gawain, and they were also saying Gawain, and I was like, yeah, I'm pronouncing it right, because I saw other people pronouncing it wrong, and I was like, I trust Dorsey Armstrong, expert of Arthurian legend. She said Gawain. The Green Knight, the film, is mostly about Gawain's journey to the Green Chapel. The time at the castle, the king and queen's castle that he stays at, like, barely any time at all. I was like, wait, what is happening? But he still has sort of, like, trials that he stumbles into as he's making his way to the Green Chapel, which I thought was strange. I just thought it was strange because I felt like it kind of was not what the Green Knight, what the Sir Gawain in The Green Knight is about. I still really liked it. I thought it was very well done. I liked the cast. I knew that before even watching it. Dev Patel Alicia Vikander, who I love, Joel Edgerton, who's like barely in this, and also they make it clear, it is sort of revealed at the end of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, that it's all Morgana. Morgan. Her name's just Morgan, right? I'm sorry, I'm so used to Morgana in Camelot and Morgana in Merlin. That is what she's called, but I'm so used to that. So anyway, Morgan is revealed to be responsible for all of this, and in the movie they make it very clear that, like, at least to me, they made it very clear that it was all his mother's doing, who then turns out, obviously, like, in my head I was like, wait, is his mother supposed to be Morgan? And I guess it does make sense because they made Gawain King Arthur's nephew. And obviously Morgan and Arthur are half brother and sister. But that is also very strange because Morgan was like cast off because of her being a witch. So like, why, unless she was like, no, because there were people who were like taunting him that was like, your mother's a witch. I thought that was interesting. I liked that they showed that to an extent. Yeah, very visually pleasing. I really liked when the Green Knight comes and the Queen Guinevere, okay, they're not even like King Arthur and Queen Guinevere, they're just like King and Queen, but Guinevere reads a message that the Green Knight brings, and it just has this like green lighting, and her voice is kind of altered. I think it's kind of layered with another voice, if I'm not mistaken. The fonts were great, like the sort of layering of the letter when it would show that, and then also just the text treatment of like the different chapters. Like, instead of saying the full title in the beginning of the movie, it was just like Sir Gawain, and then each sort of chapter it would be like, and whatever was happening within that section. I liked that a lot, and the special features on this were really good. I think it gave me more of an idea of what the director, who also directed like A Ghost Story, that's the only movie I can, oh, and Ain't Them Bodies Saints, I'm pretty sure, both starring Rooney Mara, apparently. Apparently I'm just Rooney Mara on the mind. David Lowrey, I want to say, but I cannot find his name. I'm pretty sure it's David Lowrey. Yeah, it was just interesting getting his insight and what he was thinking. The sets were amazing. Alicia Vikander, I really liked. Too bad she didn't really get to have seduction scenes because they just like cut that part. So yeah, like Joel Edgerton was like barely in it because most of the movie was Gawain's journey to the castle and then the chapel. There was one like monologue that Alicia Vikander had as this other queen that I thought was really good. Yeah, I'm excited to give it another watch though, because of course, having just read the poem and all that is in this book, because this is like almost 200 pages, but the poem itself is not even 100. So I'm excited to give this another watch and see how it goes without being so like in my head of like adaptation, which happens a lot, but I like comparing, and then I also like being able to just watch something, experience it as its own thing. And then that just brings me to, because apparently this was supposed to be short, I just wanted to mention a couple of books that I'm thinking about picking up next. I noticed that there's the Shirley Temple adaptation of A Little Princess on the Criterion Channel, and I was like, I have The Little Princess, I should read it, and then watch that Shirley Temple version. I think I have seen it from when I was a kid, because I did like Shirley Temple movies when I was younger, and I was constantly compared to her and like Drew Barrymore in E.T. specifically, because that's when she was like younger and had like the short blonde curly hair. That was me as a kid. And I'm also thinking about maybe, I don't know which one. I feel like this will be really easy to get through. It's like a children's story, and the font is very nice. There's also pictures. Let's see if I can find a picture. There. Then I also have Moll Flanders by Daniel Defoe. This is celebrating its 300th anniversary. That's crazy. 1722 is when it was first published, and so I would like to read it. And I'm like, for some reason, like really in the mood. For some reason, I'm really in the mood for something like 18th century. Even though I'm pretty sure this takes place in the 17th century, because it's like Moll Flanders' life. It's fine. It's enough of the right vibes. very much want to read it. I bought it. I got it. Would like to read it soon. Probably am going to. Probably A Little Princess first, then Moll Flanders. I have not been, like, reading as many books, like, overlapping books that much lately. Yeah, I don't know. I've just been, like, reading sort of one book at a time. I like that a lot, because I just feel like I end up focusing on one anyway, so I might as well dedicate the time to one and then dedicate the time to another instead of, like, forgetting things that happen, and there's the possibility of mixing things up, especially if for some reason there are similarities within stories. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching. What are you up to? I have to catch up on watching some YouTube videos. I saw some, like, Criterion collection, like, people showing their Criterion collections. Have not watched those, but I, like, added it to a playlist. Other sort of, like, favorite things of 2021. Haven't watched some of those yet. That's what I'm up to. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video, which again will probably be like the part 1 of all the books that I read. It'll be a long one, but like, take your time with it. You can skip around if you want. I usually leave timestamps. Other things will be coming, so thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!